sorted. Right, basically, what you're getting, we run an anime podcast for the website, for the Axia website, and basically what you're getting right now is just a live version of one of the episodes that we would normally do. So be prepared for this going a bit off the wall, because we're normally just a conversational podcast. We don't tend to actually have much of a structure in place. With the minimal exception. So, without further ado, I'm Calvin Atkinson, the Pokemon Punk.
I'm Reese, the Gundam Guru.
I'm Ren, the JoJo Genius.
I'm Mayor, the Vanguard Vagrant, and welcome to our first ever live episode! Woo! And just before we start, because what we do will definitely be different from what you've seen everyone else, so I'm going to just give you a few things to watch out for in this episode, just so if you have young ones or don't like any of this, feel free to put headphones on, the usual. So, warning! The following episode will include swearing, arguing, insults, innuendos, unironic flirting, ironic flirting, Reese talking about Gundam for 43 minutes, Ren talking about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for 42 minutes, having to hear my voice for the next hour, Calvin, just Calvin, and what's it? Calvin, what's this about Monkey and a Frog?
You agreed the Florida group would stay in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, but I thought people will want to know.
We agreed it stayed in Florida.
The people have a right to know.
Okay, fine.
Right,
Jeez.
so since it's 25 years of Axia, we figured, let's look back at the last 25, what came out 25 years ago in anime. So all of these are anime that either celebrate their 25th anniversaries in their Japanese broadcast, or the English dub comes to Europe.
The 25th anniversary actually has gone by for most of these, except I think Serial Experiments Lain.
I don't actually know when
these all came out in 1998.
Yeah, but I mean specific time period. All these came out winter and spring. I think that one came out in fall.
Yeah, but again, we
Yeah, we might as well celebrate them now.
Yeah, because you're still going to get those things on Twitter. Did you know that this came up 25 years ago?
Yeah. By the way, you're welcome for the idea, Calvin. I'll be expecting a 20% pay rise by the end of the month.
Yeah, this is a brilliant idea. We're going to do this every July.
Woo!
So it's 1999 anime next year. So, but I mean, at this point in time, you're looking at the medium's completely changing. Digital. We're moving away from the hand-drawn animation. We're moving way more to digital. It's not quite that look that you got in the early 2000s where everything was moe and...
Yeah, you still kind of got the hand-drawn stuff.
Yeah,
during this era.
Yeah, well, interestingly, the one that Ren picked, that's definitely where you're seeing the most of that digital art is now moving forward.
Yeah, meanwhile, with the ones like Trigun, for example, you can definitely see the hand-drawn part of it, yeah.
It's still kind of out of that period of hyper-violence, though, where they were really kind of going...
Well, yeah, because of that... because of that...
I mean, we say that, but if you remember, Berserk from 1997 was, a lot toned down compared to the manga.
Yeah, but...
Really? Toned down?
Yeah, no, it's really toned down.
Yeah, really toned down. Have you not read the manga?
Nope.
No, there's some gore...
There's some gory stuff in the manga, let's just say that.
And, I look at the last 20... I look at all these anime as well, but again, the hyper-violent aspect, it's kind of moving its way out because they now know they have an international... The industry now knows it has an international audience it didn't have before. It now knows that it's got investors it's got to please, and Japan's just had another financial crisis, so they don't have as much in place. In fact, we're going to really discuss how the financial aspect of Japan really aided one of these even being created. Period. Yeah. So the 5 we picked, Reese picked Trigun. 4 we picked, sorry. Reese picked Trigun. Yep. Elliot picked Cowboy Bebop. I picked Outlaw Star. Ren picked Serial Experiments Lain, or more to the point, I gave it to him because he didn't know any other anime that came out at that time period.
In all fairness, it's the only one that could really be talked about, aside from Card Captor Sakura, and we're not watching 60 episodes of that.
No, good God, and it's... Also, considering how much that was changed when it got over here, it would be kind of pointless.
Yeah.
So I think we'll start with your one, Reese. Let's start with Trigun.
Okay, so Trigun is a western set in space, which borrows heavily from the old spaghetti western tropes, with your Clint Eastwood and the like. And it follows the adventures of a guy called Vash, who's been given the name of the Stampede. As we see his adventures across the planet of Gunsmoke, where everything bad does happen to him. That can be bad.
Basically, the idea is he's sorry, he's the most wanted criminal. He has the biggest bounty because of all the destruction he causes. The funny thing is, most of the destruction isn't even his fault. It's from the people who are trying to get him, who like destroy the town.
Well, the funny thing about this is it's like $60 billion double dollars is the currency they go with in that one, and God, it's a really bizarre show. I remember this one kind of came along. Was it adult in America? At least it was Adult Swim or Toonami.
I think probably would have been Toonami at the time.
Maybe.
I'll double check that. I'm pretty sure it was Adult Swim. I know there's a bunch of these shows bounced back between those two blocks.
Yeah.
And the thing about Trigun though is it is very iconic in that sense. Though you kind of gave it away because we don't find out that it's kind of like the far future rather than some weird alternate reality until like 12 episodes in. Unless we talk about, but it's also prime time to talk about this because it just got rebooted in January.
Yep.
Actually, no, that was like that was in October, wasn't it? That was last year.
No, January. It was this year.
Oh, it was this year.
I thought it was last year.
Trigun Stampede came out in January. I swear. Right to the internet.
This is the common thing that happens in our episodes, people.
Yep.
Someone makes a point and 5 people check it.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
After you all stand around arguing for another 20 minutes.
Yes.
But the point is, that having seen that reboot, the vastly difference of it, how do you feel like going back to it was now with having that reboot in place?
Well, I'll say Vash is a much bigger idiot than you would think.
Yeah, it plays into the comedy aspects a lot more in the original.
Like the perfect example of Vash I could think of is when he's like dancing and singing to some stupid like rock song. Meanwhile, people are shooting at him.
Yes.
He has no idea, just conveniently dodging them.
Yes.
Well, it's aided by in the dub version having that having Johnny Young Bosch voice him, who was the original Black Power. Well, no, he wasn't the original Black Power.
He was the second one.
He was the second one in Mighty Morphin.
Yep, the second Mighty Morphin.
Also,
Power Ranger.
winter 2023. That means started in January. Suck it.
Alright, calm down. I need to brag. Good news, everyone. He's more of a nerd than the rest of us.
Yeah. See, and this is why he's paid the top dollars out of the 4 of us for his obscure anime knowledge.
I need
Anyway,
I need
a good
medication
chunk
to deal with you, freak.
A good chunk of the story is him being followed by insurance brokers Meryl and Millie.
Yeah, those two are. That was one of my big problems with the reboot. They got rid of Millie, and she's one of the better comic relief characters in that show.
Yeah,
Are you talking about the reboot? Sorry.
The reboot. Millie doesn't appear in the reboot.
Whereas in the original, she's a central character.
Yeah, I was watching it. I was like, I'm sure, having watched the reboot of it, there's someone missing here.
Sorry. Wind back a second. When we did our best of winter anime in March, I was going on about this, and you were like, I don't remember. I don't know what you're on about. You might be going a bit too far with this one. And now suddenly it's like, yeah, you were completely right.
Well, no, I hadn't watched the original at the time, is what I'm saying. So I only watched the reboot. When I was watching the original, I was like, okay, this makes sense.
More on your idiocy in that department later.
Yeah.
But like something I find really funny is for a good while Meryl didn't even know Vash was Vash. Like she kept thinking, oh, he's just an idiot we keep fumbling into. And then when he realized he is Vash, she goes, oh, he's Vash's Stampede. Oh God, he's Vash's Stampede.
It's kind of like she was in willful ignorance pretty much until that episode.
Kind of. Millie just believed him straight away.
You've also got the excellent rivalry between him and Wolf Ward, who's the travelling priest. I mean, who else has a crucifix with guns coming out of it?
One of the most anime things you can imagine.
I just love the fact that villains in this thing have some of the best names ever. Like Mona the Gale.
Millions Knives
is a great one.
Actually, is he just called Knives in this one? I don't remember if he's called...
in the manga, he's called Millions Knives.
Yes.
Oh, right.
But I don't think they ever actually said out loud in the anime. That was the other thing.
He doesn't use knives, though.
One of the things I found interesting is out of all 4 of the ones we've done, this is the only one that's an adaptation of another work.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. The Cowboy Bebop's an original, Outlaw Star's an original.
Amigos was an original.
Yeah, all of these are all original projects.
Yeah.
Like, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Lane was the only one to get like a manga afterwards.
It did get a manga afterwards, but with the case of Trigun, they weren't done with it.
Yeah,
so
they were still writing at the time.
So they were writing it at the time, so they had to make it up as they were going along. So that's why that ending feels really, really abrupt.
That was one of my critiques of it. I was confused by how it kind of...
But it's also interesting that the Knives is voiced by Ty from Digimon, so that was weird the first time I watched it. That's because you've not watched Digimon, you idiot!
I watched the original Digimon.
How did you not recognize? He's one of the most iconic voices in English dub anime.
I was like 7.
What? See, Ren, this is why you rewatch Digimon every
Yes,
year
you're
on
right,
the
sorry,
year.
That was my mistake. Thank you.
You cannot
Well, especially
be
now
this-
Pokemon's wrapped up after like 30 odd years.
You cannot be this much of an idiot.
I can and I am.
As proven by our 6 years together recording.
Well, the thing for me, if we were to see about do you agree, Reese? Though, is it an abrupt ending with Trigun?
Oh yeah, because with Trigun they really stretched out the plot points during the middle when they were scrambling for the manga to catch up.
Yeah.
And so once they caught up, they said, right, the manga's finished. The anime went, oh no, we've not built up to this end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It definitely just feel like that. Another thing I'm a bit iffy on is that we don't really get much of Knives. Something I actually would give the remake a bit of credit for compared to this one is that they show off Knives like pretty much from episode 3 and show how threatening of a presence he is. With Knives, it's just these are his henchmen.
Yeah.
They are powerful. Therefore, he must be.
Also, it's a massive tonal shift. Like you get to like episode 13, it's like, oh crap, shit just got real.
Yeah, like Vash almost like I understand he has some badass elements, but he feels like he loses a lot of his comedy at that point.
It goes from very episodic to like trying to push itself into.
I think there was a
that it hadn't, so.
I think there was a point around episode 18 where I just went, oh, for the love of God, man, stop crying! You're crying more than Sally Field, for God's sake, and she gets paid loads of money to do it.
I don't know who that is.
Aunt May in Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh.
She's known for crying in a lot of movies.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta be known for something. just as we're known for not being very good at our jobs.
Of course.
Quite clearly. Good news, everyone. You find out proof of that.
The problem, like, I think about Trigun. How do we feel it stands up though? Like 25 years later, does it stand up? I mean,
In my opinion, it has aged quite a lot, especially the animation at the time, where it compares to like modern standards, or even other anime at the time.
but if you look at
Yeah.
like something like Megalobox, which was designed to be which came out like in 2017, was designed to be a throwback to 90s anime. It does look a lot like Trigun.
Yeah.
So there are some people that are still trying to go for that art style.
Yeah. I don't know what the manga looks like, but I feel like through watching the anime, I have an idea of what
It's
the
kind of the same.
illustrations are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of saying the designs aren't altered that much from the manga.
I could be wrong just because I've seen the cover. There's actually a bit more tan in the manga.
No, not
I don't
really.
think so.
No, if
I'm
anything-
just going by what I saw on the cover.
But the
of
thing I
manga.
find weird is that when they come to make the reboot, they could have said, "Okay, we're now going to do like the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood thing of this version is going to be more like the source material." And if anything, they went further from it.
Yeah, they decided to do a complete flip with the tonal shift and the story aspect.
Oh, great! We're gonna have it be fun for like a minute, and then it's miserable for the rest of the time.
Yeah, because with Dragon Stampede, they like get to like I think in the original they get to like episode 10 like pretty much straight away.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like when you see the doctor and his overgrown son, I feel
Yes,
very
yeah,
sorry
yeah.
for the mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember watching the reboots and being like, I'm sure you come along much later in the original. Sorry, no. Then watching the original, being like, you were in the first episode. Why are you here now, 10 episodes in?
Yeah, because they swapped around the appearances of almost all the henchmen.
Yes.
No, they don't even get to that village until like that late into the original.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I really like Trigun, but parts of it have not aged very well.
Yeah.
And
I will say one thing this did actually that the remake didn't do very much. Mel actually has a character in this.
also,
She wasn't as much of a presence in the remake. She's one of my favorite characters in it. She's fun.
the one thing it has in common with all of these bar one is it has a cool opening theme.
Yes.
Yes.
Like HT is one of my favorite anime openings ever,
I
and it's all instrumental.
It took me a long time to get used to the ED though. That was a weird kind of end to the episode.
Yeah, the
Weird
ending theme is
singing.
weird. I think, shall we do Cowboy Bebop next? Because I feel like we've
Yeah.
exhausted Trigun a bit.
Yeah.
So, if it's possible, give a plot synopsis to Cowboy Bebop. Elliot.
Cowboy Bebop is about a bunch of space cowboys, shall we say, who are basically bounty hunters in the year 2071, who fly, and most notably it follows the adventures of Spike Spiegel and Jet Black on the spaceship called the Bebop, during shall we say, many hijinks.
Yeah, it has its hijinks ensue because it's the problem with doing this one is there is an overarching plot, but it's
It's-
very episodic.
Yeah, it kind of is what Trigun does, except Trigun's overarching plot is definitely more present, meanwhile this one's more in the background.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was great visiting this considering we just had the appalling Netflix live action adaptation.
Which
that's come
I'm
out.
still upset with him for, because that's the only version of Cowboy Bebop he's watched.
Which I liked.
and it's just, and the fact is, it's amazing that they've tried to go for a season 2 They set up for a season 2,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's been cancelled.
The
So we're
problem-
never going to get a season 2.
The problem with the remake is that it feels like the directors were more like, yeah, we can do this, we can make it better, despite the fact that, let's be honest, you can't do better than this.
Yeah, and then they completely misunderstood what made the characters great the first time
Yeah,
round.
the Netflix version bombed so hard, it was cancelled after 1 week of going
Like
live.
1 week of going live, and they just said, "Yeah, we're not doing any more with this."
I'm
Yeah.
praying this doesn't happen to One
He's
Piece
a-
because that's
yeah.
a Netflix adaptation.
I've said many times before, the most astonishing thing about the remake is that there's no radical Ed.
But
Ed is my favorite character in this entire
Well,
thing.
until the
She's
wa-
great.
well, until the last episode.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Spike Spiegel, you got Jet
Black.
Jet Black.
You got Faye Valentine.
Ein.
And the Corgi,
Uh,
who everyone basically just kind of abuses.
I mean, the best, and you got Ed. I can't remember the full name off the top of my
No
head.
one can remember the full name. Her name is so confusing.
It changes in every episode. She just adds new parts onto it.
My favorite one, I think my favorite, one of my favorite scenes in it for no apparent reason is just when they give him the dog eats magic mushrooms.
And
It just bounces along all the.
Yeah, Edge finally starts talking to cows.
But the thing about Cowboy Bebop is it's also supposed to be Shinichiro Watanabe's first project where he's in complete control. Like, he did have a lot of control with Macross Plus.
Yeah.
Now he's in complete control, and they basically said to him, do whatever you like as long as you do something in space, because then we can make space toys to sell to people.
Was it an attempt to merchandise?
Yeah, that was
Oh,
all.
yeah.
That's the only reason Cowboy Bebop exists. Is because
crazy.
it's merchandise. Merchandise is what sells anime.
Yeah.
The only reason anime exists is to sell merchandise. Really,
Yeah.
is. The companies make no money off the projects. In fact, we'll put it this way: Demon Slayer movie, biggest box office success of any anime movie, still made a fraction of what it did in merchandise sales.
Yeah. In
Yep.
fairness, you see that stuff in like Tesco and like,
Yes, but
Waterstones.
it's not. No, it's more the figurines. Like those ones that cost like 300 quid
Oh,
off
yeah.
the internet.
Yeah.
And
Anime fans are scary.
Yeah.
but the weird thing is, watching Bebop is kind of what makes it annoying about him is watching Bebop is kind of rite of passage.
Yeah.
Kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's this whole amazing project about a Japanese director doing a homage to his favorite American films and American music. So there's an episode that's all about films like Shaft and those sort of films, and then there's another one that's all about the homage is Alien.
The thing I especially like is that there's like, despite obviously the fact that there's obviously mostly Spike's story, all the characters like get their own time in the spotlight.
It's also kind of a dystopian future as well, but it doesn't really feel entirely dystopian because again, the law enforcement is so ineffective that they rely on bounty hunters. That's why there's that stupid TV show that's based.
Hot Shots.
Hot Shots is the best.
That's just hilarious.
Which basically just has two cowboys, people dressed as cowboys, saying, "Here's the best bounties on the market."
Which, let's face it, it's happened in real life because we had Dog the Bounty Hunter going for how many seasons?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that actually
Yeah.
they've predicted that. But the
But even not having watched Cowboy Bebop, I'm aware that it's one of the ones that everyone kind of like really puts on a pedestal.
yeah, because
Rightly so,
and
so-
they debate on like what's the best episode. Like, is it Jupiter Jazz? Is it Boogie Woogie Feng Shui? Is it?
The favorite episode was the one with Mad Piero.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Because that's where the show actually delves into horror. Because Piero's scary, dude.
Oh yeah, no, and they do a lot of like one of my favorite episodes, even though it's quite problematic now based on how times have changed, is the one around Gren,
Yeah.
which was one of the few two-parters. they had.
Oh yeah, him.
It was
yeah.
it was one of the reasons why when we got to the I didn't actually realise they put Gren in the Netflix. That's how bad the Netflix adaptation flubbed. I didn't realise they put Gren in the show.
Yeah, he was the host at that
yeah.
club, right?
I didn't know it was Gren until I watched the Bennett the Sage episode on it.
Yeah.
That's how badly they screwed up with that character. Like, yeah, there's not going to be that cry in the night when that character dies this time round.
So what is the overarching plot then?
Well, the overarching plot is around
It's
the
basically
Cabal.
kind of Spike trying to stay away from the Syndicate, kind of, and this overall battle between him and Vicious. Because they think he's dead. Because he kind of faked his death, then buggered off somewhere.
I mean, I think they only really bring up the main plot like 6 of the 24 episodes.
Yeah.
I'd probably even say like 5. There was only like because there were two-parters that followed the Syndicate, and there was like a one part.
And it does get a bit heavy at times. That's why you need someone like Ed, who's the comic relief character. I mean, one of my favourite lines that's timed on chess is 1, 2, 3, 4. Edward's gonna score. Play ball.
Yeah, my favorite line from him is in the one where, strangely enough, they're giving lessons. Not
Oh,
the
yeah.
lessons are very
Oh,
good,
yeah.
and that's just if you see a stranger, follow him. which
Very
is
concerning.
shows exactly what Ed's like. I
And
guess.
again, you got the amazing talents of like Spike Spiegel. Spike Spiegel's being played by Steve Bloom.
Yeah, like if there's any anime I suggest watching in English dub, this will be it. The dub in it is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it was made with an American audience in mind. It was made with American sensibilities in mind, so it makes sense on that one.
And it still holds up fantastically.
Yeah, even
as a
the
dub.
quotes about Bruce Lee. I mean, we got Bruce Lee is for all intents and purposes like an American star because he made most of his money in America. He, it's. I mean, that's one of the few things I think the Netflix one got right. Spike's adoration of Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that this show definitely has, I don't think that's many really do. The animation of this holds up really damn well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like, I really like the animation to it.
I mean, I've mentioned about Gren. Is there anything else that doesn't really hold up about Bebop?
It's pretty much the Netflix version. That doesn't hold up.
When I did attempt years and years ago to watch it, and I only got 4 episodes in, and I think at that point nothing had particularly happened in terms of overarching plot.
But that was like I think that was like the episode 4 was like the episode where Faye Valentine joined the group.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, so it hadn't kind of I don't know, developed the dynamic, I guess. Is that right?
Yeah, you don't have the dynamic of that. Well, I mean, Ed's not even in the group at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, in all fairness, I don't think it ever really joins in until like episode 8, like around the halfway. Close to
And
halfway
even
point.
then, Ed's kind of just there because she kind of molds into that lol random type of humor that was really popular at the end of the 90s.
Except
Yeah.
she does it well. I say she actually works.
Yeah, just like a pure chaos gremlin.
That's a brilliant description. God, this episode. This was so weird. It's also the music tones are quite well. Like jazz and blues is really the musical theme. Although the last episode is named after a Beatles song. You're going to carry that weight.
I mean, it has one of the most iconic anime openings like ever.
Oh, yeah,
to the point where it was pretty much the exact same in the Netflix adaptation.
Yeah, no. This is the soundtrack that put Yoko Kano on the map.
Is
Yeah.
it an original song? Is it? They didn't borrow it from
No.
something else?
It's Yoko Kano's jazz group, the Seatbelts.
Right, I did not know that. I assumed they'd taken it from somewhere.
No.
They'd been written for the show.
Tank is a song written for Cowboy Bebop. In fact, all of these had songs written, with the exception, I think, with the exception of Serial Experiments Lain, but I could be wrong on that one. They all had songs written for. No, Outlaw Star. Outlaw Star did have a song that was not written for it, and they licensed it. I mean, again, I know the songs often play parts in episode titles. Boogie Woogie Feng Shui, Jupiter Jazz, Heavy Metal Queen.
What are the two?
These are episode titles.
Sorry, right, okay.
Yeah, and each different music genre does sound to that particular episode really well.
So, like, Heavy Metal Queen is the heavy metal episode. Jupiter Jazz is the jazz episode.
Yeah, you could definitely see the guys enjoyment for sort of Western music, which obviously helped to inspire Charlotte and Tuesday.
Carol and Tuesday.
Carol and Tuesday.
Carol and Tuesday, but Carol and Tuesday was a little more direct because like all the episodes are named after songs like "Walk This Way" and
And Samurai Champloo as well, which was heavily influenced by hip hop.
well, Samurai Champloo's the same creator.
Yes, that's what I
The
mean.
Stuart Cherub. Well, it's kind of interesting that they didn't team up again. None of this team ever kind of got back together because after Cowboy Bebop, Watanabe goes off to do Samurai Champloo, and everyone else goes off to do Wolf's Rain.
Not seen.
It's good up until the last little bit, and then it has an ending where you go, "Wait, what the hell just happened?"
Which, to be fair, is how you can describe 90% of most anime.
Whereas when you get to the final shot of Cowboy Bebop, that stays with you. It's such a powerful moment when you get to that final episode, because you kind of know that ending's coming, but you're begging for it not to happen.
It's like the Titanic in a way. You know it's coming, but you wish it weren't.
I think we need to move on to the next one because this is the one I think we're most divided on.
I mean, personally, if there's any of these, I recommend you watch. Definitely Cowboy Bebop.
I would actually say I was really annoyed you got it first because you picked it because I wanted to pick it because it's the best one of these four.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the most beloved anime for a reason.
Shall we talk about Serial Experiments Lain?
Yes, let's get
Sure.
it over with.
It exists. There you go.
So this show is about a young girl. It's kind of about the advent of the internet and the increase in communication, people messaging each other, classmates and whatnot. She learns that a classmate has died and has messaged people from beyond the grave.
If you ask what the overall plot is, I don't know. No!
The overall plot, I was trying to think of like comparisons, and I was
It's the
thinking,
Matrix.
I was thinking.
It's the Matrix. It's just the Matrix. It's the Matrix a year before the Matrix.
I mean, apparently it did inspire the Matrix.
That would make sense.
But again, the Matrix. They must have been filming it at the time because this comes out in 1998. The Matrix comes out in 1999. They couldn't have had that long to add those. Maybe some of those elements made it into the sequels.
Maybe.
Essentially. But there's a lot of things drawn from things like Total Recall, even in the game. So
Can I just say though, this is the most late 90s thing I've ever seen in my life.
yes, it's incredibly
Like this,
dark.
this had to exist in the late 90s.
Yeah, but that's what I was thinking. I don't think it could be remade today, and I wouldn't even recommend it to many people nowadays.
Well, no, because
it's
it-
just different.
It's really confusing.
But this is made before time that internet access is
Wide.
wide
Yeah.
and accessible. It's you're not paying over the phone per broad. The amount that costs for an internet connection, it's a massive luxury.
Yeah, certainly.
Oh god, this was. But man, mate, this was too confusing for me. I got 7 episodes in and I just said I'm not watching anymore because this really this just annoys me of how confusing it is.
So one of the things you missed in that, so kind of a late twist. I mean, it's 25 years on, so I don't think anyone's concerned about spoilers. Is it turns out that she's like an artificial creation. She's created by some tech whiz somewhere, basically.
So that's the
given a human body.
basically, she's
Total Recall.
Basically, she's sort of someone that was created for what they called in the internet the wired.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It builds up that mystery early on, and then you get to the answer. It's like, oh, it was that one.
But then for me it was I don't know because it's
I
her
was
trying
just
to figure
confused.
out what's real.
It's almost like, yeah, it's trying to do that, but there are a lot of things that do it a lot better. Perfect Blue being a perfect example. That is a very, very confusing movie, but it's to the point where it really unnerves you.
Yeah, but
that's kind of the idea
again,
of
it's
it.
'cause
Serial Experiments Lain is just like,
Things happen, and it's like, how am I meant to perceive this?
Yeah, but
I don't know if it's real or,
the big difference is
involved.
Perfect Blue, I think, has a more cohesive 3-act structure.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Whereas I feel like Serial Experiments Lain is just darting around with saying, what idea did we have the other day?
Yeah.
Quick, stick that in
yeah,
there.
with Perfect Blue, it built up to the chaos and the madness. It built up to like the confusing stuff. Serial Experiments Lain, it's just that from the get-go.
I will say, because it's interestingly, this is one I think the few that isn't on any streaming service of
Yeah,
any
that's
sort.
true.
Yep.
Watching the Blu-ray menus was great because it was like, oh wow, this is going back to 1998.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I think that's more late 90s than this was the Digimon movie, and that had less than Jake in it,
Yeah.
Yep. And Fatboy Slim.
and Fatboy Slim.
And All Star, actually.
Yeah, it's
Smash.
Like out of complete nowhere.
yeah, All Star before it ever ends up in Shrek. It's in the Digimon movie like years before it.
Was it in Mystery Men before that though? I don't know when Mystery Men came out.
Yeah, it was. Wasn't that the film that?
Stiller?
No, stop. We're
Yeah,
getting
no.
off topic.
Yeah, it
We're
was a
getting
film
off
that the music
topic.
video was.
Which is what we usually do anyway.
Look, Reese, I haven't heard
Yes.
you.
Hey, just because we're live doesn't mean we're changing our dynamic.
Right, Reese. For the sake of my sanity, you
Okay.
haven't spoken yet.
Okay.
What is your opinion on Serial Experiments Lane?
I personally thought it was disappointing.
Valid.
The pacing is so glacially
Yeah.
slow.
Oh,
I was falling asleep on my pain medication.
Like,
Well, that was my point, is because you say like 3-act structure for Perfect Blue. This one feels like a very messy 1-act until like episode 11, and then things.
Yeah,
come
no,
down,
it is a case of
basically.
you.
But
It's
even then, you don't know what's happening.
to borrow
until
that gag from Bennett the Sage is where he goes, "I'm boring, boring, boring. Don't care. Oh my God, I live in my eyes."
See, I was never bored because I was constantly confused, if that makes sense. I didn't have
Yeah.
time to like.
Yeah,
Kind
but I think there's a difference between being confused and being just, what the hell is happening right now?
Yeah.
And it's like, by the time they get a cohesive plot going, I'm like, well, it's too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is this type of anime that needs a wiki open at all times
That's
as you go
right, yeah.
through episode by
Do
episode.
you know what it is? It felt like it needed it. Do you know Final Fantasy 6? You know Final Fantasy 16? It
Yeah.
has that thing when you go to the pause menu, you can hit the dash pad and the
Oh, yeah.
PlayStation controller, and it comes up with, here's the lore of everything that's going on around
Yeah.
the time. I feel like I need that. I was,
No law manual could possibly explain what's happening here.
All I'm going to say is thank God for YouTubers who create explainer videos for shows, because like honestly,
you needed that,
you
didn't
need
you?
like a
Yeah.
read-along
Yeah.
companion.
The thing I find most funny about this is that recently we had a real life invasion of Serial Experiments Lain when the website myanimals.net got hacked and all the titles for the anime were changed to Let's All Love Lane.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Was that actually external hackers, or was that as publicity
It
stunt done by
was
the
it was
website?
actual hackers. They actually had to shut down the website for a couple of days to fix it.
Wow.
Oh, that's the PSN hack of this day.
Yeah, Yeah, so I think because this is like 1998, obviously pre-Y2K. There's a lot of like uncertainty and anxiety around tech at that time. It's all new. It felt like they were kind of going for the world, technology.
But
I'm
that's also
confused, except the tech is more confused than anything because Lane builds basically an evil person's lair in her bedroom and somehow is flooding.
It's
It
again,
makes no
I
sense.
didn't write it.
I will say one thing this does get right, which a lot of you watch a lot of modern horror movies, and they're based around technology. You know, things like Countdown and Friend Request and Unfriended. You watch those, and they don't quite get why technology can be scary to people, because the thing you're scared about when you're on the internet is not internet ghosts. It's, are you going to get your identity nicked?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Lane can't just kind of dive into that.
It does kind of dive into what, because at the time, as Ren pointed out, we're pre-Y2K and all, and that's going to be hilariously funny to look back on.
Yep.
I think out of all of these, would we agree this one's aged the worst?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I disagree. Maybe not age the worst, but I like it as.
I wouldn't say. I don't
But
know.
it's-
Don't know if I would say it aged the worst, but it's, in my opinion, it's probably the worst one we talked about.
It's a time capsule of its time.
That's a good
Yeah.
way.
Out of these four, it's the weakest.
But the thing is, I don't really like time capsules all that much. I always think that, like, I'm kind of getting sick of nostalgia being used as much as it is, because you watch a bunch of things like, oh, wasn't this time period great? And I'm like, no, it bloody wasn't. I was there. It wasn't great.
Yeah, the thing is, there are a lot of people who do say, "Oh, I wish I grew up in the '80s and I could see Nirvana and all these amazing bands." I just think you wouldn't have your phones. You would die in 3 days.
You wouldn't have your phones for 3 days. You'd be on part of an economic collapse. You're going to be part of a generation that's going to make less. People forget then they say that, like, why did Nirvana come about? It's like, because Nirvana comes about because there's a massive economic collapse, and we're going to have the first generation that's going to make less than their parents.
Yeah, it'll be terrible, but I get to see Back to the Future in the cinema.
And you're
Well,
going to
makes up for it in the
and you're going
end.
to realise the cinema screen's not that great. And it's like now, the one thing I think it does get down is now is better than it's ever been all those years ago.
Yeah.
Like, there's problems now, but at the end of the day, they're always
You don't have the quality of life. From back then.
the quality of life always seems to go up in some fashion. I feel like, though, when it comes to Lane as well, it is the most uniquely animated of the
Yes,
four of them.
Yeah.
It's kind of that middle ground between digital and hand drawn.
Yeah, which is the point you touched on before. Yeah, like the amount of digital animation in this, and like
I could, like, if you told me that this was made in the year 2000, I wouldn't have believed. I would have believed you. But also, that being said, it's got the worst opening theme of all four.
I'm gonna-
I really liked
It's
it.
so funny though.
Do you want to know why I kind of like it? It reminds me of a Persona OP.
Yeah, but it's also kind of like, I'm so boring. You're gonna skip this every time.
Yeah, but what would you expect it to be? You can't have bloody Death Note OP2 over this.
Yeah,
it
okay.
has to be psychedelic. It has to be kind of
I'm not
melatonin.
gonna lie, I listen to it every time.
I like it. I honestly like
It's
it. It's
not-
my favorite part of the show for me.
I mean, it's not as misjudged as Billie Eilish doing his Cyberpunk album.
True.
Excuse me.
Yeah, Billie Eilish did a Cyberpunk album. Not Billie Eilish. Billy Idol. Sorry. Not Billy Idol.
I was gonna say you said he as well.
That's two very different people. You're conflating there.
Yeah. No, but never listened to his Cyberpunk album. It's really awful. There's only one good song on the whole thing.
Did not intend to.
I think we move on to the final one then, shall we?
Yeah.
Stuff.
Outlaw Star. Oh god, how to do Outlaw Star? It's animated Firefly.
Pretty much.
Basically about.
Are all your three space westerns?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. All three of them are space westerns except your one.
Yeah, okay. There's a big push for nostalgia in the 90s.
Yeah, well,
It's-
But back to the old Western.
But it's kind of set in this various planets really, but it's
Yeah.
kind of, oh god, what was the name of the main space station that they're at? Because it leads to that really funny joke.
They start off on Sentinel 3.
Sentinel 3, and then they go to the space station, and it's basically about a outlaw called Gene Starwind who comes across a girl in a suitcase who's actually the key to a treasure known as the Galactic Ley Line, which can then be used to rewrite the universe by whoever gets it, however they see
Yeah,
fit.
something that I don't think a lot of other space shows do is that it sort of combines sci-fi with fantasy.
Yeah,
Like, there's
yeah.
a lot of magic in it, strangely enough.
Oh yeah, well the caster gun, which is Gene's weapon, is basically a magic gun. So you got Gene Starwind, his protege Jim Hawkins, who's because they had to
Treasure Island.
because they had to make a
Yeah.
reference to Treasure Island in the most blatant way possible. You have Melfina, who's is the person they pick up.
Yep.
You have Aisha Clan, who's like a...
She's a member of a race called the Guitar, which is basically like cat elf people, kind
Yeah.
of.
They're basically cat elves,
Yeah.
who have and she's part of the royalty of that.
Only an anime.
And
Yeah.
I'm about to say, I now know where Xenoblade Chronicles got a bunch of their ideas.
Yeah.
And and you got this.
Well,
Do you have Asuka or something? like
Asuka, yeah.
Yeah,
She's she's a samurai voiced by the cyborg from The Ghost in the Shell.
Oh yeah.
So it's the same actress.
Yeah.
Oh god, though, you watch this and you go. And again, I have to state for the much like Benedict Sage's video on the subject, I have to state for the record. Joss Whedon has gone on several occasions to say that the similarities between Outlaw Star and Firefly are entirely coincidental. But I also think, especially considering we now got to know a lot more about what Joss Whedon's like.
Yeah.
Disclaimer: Joss Whedon denies any wrongdoing in his actions.
Here we go.
I don't think he's coming for you legally, Cal. You'll be
This is
fine.
getting broadcast to more people. I am covering my fucking bases.
Yeah, I mean, considering how many people are ahead, this is the highest viewership one of our videos has ever gotten.
Anyone
Especially
who wants to
off the
rat us
bat.
out to Joss Whedon now, leave the room, basically.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, it's so similar to Firefly. They find the girl in the box. The spaceship is named after the show title. The cruise dynamic is very similar to Firefly.
I'll just say, wow, this is the most 90s anime I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, especially the opening is
It's
so
like
90s.
really 90s, Jesus Christ.
But it does have a lot of funny moments, like the fact that Aisha claims that says that she gets more power from the orbit of the moon, and then they realise
Yeah, there's no moon on this planet.
hang on, this is a space station. There's no moon. You say, oh, come to think of it, you're right, dumbass. Run!
So when you say like there's magic in what's a futuristic show, is it stuff that's not explainable through?
Not really. Yeah,
science
it doesn't really have a scientific explanation. It's just a magic gun, essentially.
just kind of accept it.
Well, although they do spend the episode, which was the only episode that was banned from broadcast on British television, was the episode where he gets the main weapon he used in the final episode.
At the hot
Oh,
spring.
The hot spring planet.
You can kind of see why that one was banned.
So much nudity.
So much fan service, good God. Welcome to anime!
I was like, there's always a rule in anime. You get one of 3 episodes: the beach episode, the bathhouse episode, or the baseball episode. You get one of the 3 Bs, and it's almost every anime without fail.
Sometimes all in one.
So I can't think of one anime where they did
Bleach.
all 3.
Bleach.
You get 2 of them in Assassination Classroom.
I mean, Cardfight Vanguard has a beach episode in every season. At least in the original show it did.
But Cardfight Vanguard half exists for fan service. Of course, it's going to be in Vanguard.
You haven't even watched it!
I've watched a bit.
6 episodes?
Enough to know.
Enough to know.
Stop ruining one of my favourite shows.
I won't ruin one of your favourite shows. In any case, oh god, but I really like Outlaw Star. I think the biggest problem with Outlaw Star was it came out at the wrong time because it's instantly getting compared to that one.
It came out
Cowboy
like a
Bebop, yeah.
month, it's a season before Cowboy Bebop did.
Yeah, and again, the comparisons were always there. It's like it wasn't as good as Bebop. It wasn't as interesting as Bebop. It's like, well, it doesn't need to be. They're 2 very different shows.
And also the major thing as well, the soundtrack is nearly as iconic as Bebop's was.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. The big difference is with they did have to rework the soundtrack a little bit for English because they thought at that point no one would watch a show with Japanese singing in it.
Yeah.
I don't get why. I think they would. Again, big part of the Toonami block. I don't know if it made its way over here on our Toonami because we got Toonami quite late, and then we didn't get a lot of the same shows the Americans did.
Yeah, when did Toonami come out for
Oh
us?
god, it's Justice League is broadcasting because it played on now all the bloody time.
Well, I was too poor to avoid satellite or cable, so I didn't see it.
Yeah.
How did you?
I mean, up to the age of 16, the only anime I watched was Yu-Gi-Oh! So you know I grew up right.
You did. We have disagreements on that one, but
You shit on Yu-Gi-Oh!
no, I'm not going to shit on Yu-Gi-Oh because I love Yu-Gi-Oh, but let's be honest, it got worse after season 1, after the first incarnation.
Yeah.
I just think with Outlaw Star though, it's kind of a you had to be. I don't think it's ever going to win over new fans, if you know what I mean.
No, especially because it inspires so many more anime that we see today, like Radiant and Eden Zero, especially.
Oh yeah, right. Eden
Zero
Zero bars a
is just
lot.
Outlaw Star again.
Yeah.
But even more anime.
It's basically Eden Zero is just basically Outlaw Star with Fairy Tale.
Yeah.
Can I ask does Space Dandy draw inspiration from it? Because
Oh, lots.
Yes.
Okay,
I
Which
mean,
is-
the guy who made Space Dandy was the same guy who did that.
Yes, it's another Watanabe anime, Space Dandy.
I thought.
Yeah.
I
No,
thought that was-
well, he had outside help with that one. That's why Watanabe does, but he was constrained because he was releasing 2 anime around the same time. He's doing that and Terror in Resonance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I always thought, I will admit, it does have its problems. Like, for example, I think Asuka definitely kind of joins the team a bit too quickly.
Yeah, especially considering
Like,
that
she's like, I'm gonna kill you, Gene. I'm gonna kill you, Gene Starwin, and then all of a sudden, hey, I'm part of the crew now. What's for breakfast?
Yeah, it is kind of that whole thing of that, and especially since she's meant to be kind of the loner character.
Yeah.
Also, I think I think they kind of went a bit late on starting the character development between Jean and Melfina, and because
Yeah.
there's a whole big,
It doesn't feel like there's much of a romance plot between them.
and on to the last little bit of it. It kind of starts in the middle, and then
Most of it, Gene's kind of being a dick to her. Let's be honest.
Well, I do like Melfina as a character, even though she's kind of the fish out of water character in it.
I want to admit she's a bit bland.
She's a little bit bland compared to others, but I think she could have been worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she mostly serves as a plot point,
Yeah.
rather than a fully fleshed
Yeah,
character.
she's more MacGuffin.
Yeah. It's also, again, Jim Hawkins gets a ton of character development later on, and it's like, wait, we remember this character exists?
Yeah.
I usually just exist to call Jean an idiot.
I mean, most of these characters just argue with one another. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's like, why do you lot like each other?
Well, the same could be said for all 4 of us.
You beat me to 5 seconds! 5 seconds!
Proof exactly.
5 seconds. And pause. Never mind.
Oh my.
So would you
I
say
hate you.
would you say the show holds up?
Yeah, I would. I don't think these will agree with me. I think it does hold up.
I kind of say it does.
I don't think it holds
feel
up as much as these
I
two.
feel
Yeah.
like it's in the same vein. To go back to what you said with Serial Experiments Lain, it's kind of a time capsule of the 90s. Like, it kind of, as I said, this is probably the most 90s show I have ever seen.
I disagree. I think Lane is way more 90s than...
Is it fair to say it's cliche because it inspired a lot of things after that kind of...
Yes and no. In the one, I think in the sense the cliches, the people that took the cliches from it
Yeah.
didn't understand what made them so good. So as a result, they come off as way more cliche later down the line.
Right. Okay.
And okay.
Oh, and one mentioning today as well. Both Cowboy Bebop and Outlaw Star are both done by Sunrise.
Oh yeah, they are both done by.
Who are the same? Probably the reason why Reese brought it up. Are the same guys that do Mobile Suit Gundam.
Yeah, and have about 12 different studios who do different anime in every studio.
But you do get a sense of
Yeah.
Bebop got more of a budget
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
Outlaw Star did. Even though they run for about the same amount of time, like Bebop's like 26 episodes,
Yeah.
Outlaw Star's
Yeah. Also,
Also
26 as well. Okay,
yeah.
they're both
actually,
26.
kind of another problem with Outlaw Star. Villains aren't that great.
Also, tons of filler.
Yeah, like for example, the villains' names. What are we getting these? Million Knives.
Vicious, Lord
Vicious.
Vicious.
In that, what do we get? The McDougal brothers.
Yeah, they were weird, and they didn't even really stick around as much as villains. They kind of became Team Rocket of it.
Yeah.
But they're these big bad guys in this, and they're called McDougal.
You have space pirates.
That's what you name a dog.
You've got space pirates in this, and I don't give a shit about them.
Yeah. Space
Yeah.
pirates who show up
And-
in each episode and they just die off screen.
And for that matter, like the sorcerer, the magic guys,
Yeah.
they show up at the start. They fuck off for like 15 episodes, then they come back.
Yeah, there needs to be more of a sinister presence throughout the show. I think they wanted to have as much filler as they wanted to have a bit of filler in there, so they have to go away from the plot.
Yeah.
So I think that's all we can really say about this one. I mean, I think we should rank them. Obviously, you can't take part because you didn't watch all
I've watched 2 of them.
2 of them.
Ren, you had one job for this
I
live
know.
recording.
I'm sorry.
And also, the audience is dying right now, so we need
Yes.
to get on with this.
Yeah, they'll probably look at me as just like, what the hell are they on about?
So
What
I
the
think-
hell is a Vash?
I think we should rank them then
Yeah.
on that
Yep.
basis. Like, I'll start with you, Reese. How would you rank them from bottom to top?
So it would actually be in this order, descending. Cowboy, Trigun, Outlaw Star, and Lane.
Top to bottom.
It will be this way, ascending from me.
So it's so you think Lane's the worst,
Yep.
Outlaw Star's the third,
Yep.
Trigun second,
and then
Bebop.
Yeah.
Ren, of the 2 you saw, Lane and Trigun, which one did you prefer?
I think I liked Lane more because it was different. Not that Trigun isn't very good. I really enjoyed it. But this one was just a different experience.
Right, and now the 2 that I mentioned, Outlaw Star and Bebop, which one are you more inclined to watch? And don't say you're Outlaw Star because you want to find it funny that we are annoyed that you haven't watched Bebop. That is not an answer.
You beat me to it.
It would be Bebop because I don't think I'd be able to talk to as many people about how interesting.
Yeah, no one remembers Outlaw Star except us.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
I would do a slightly different order. So if I was to, that first to last, I would swap it round like this.
Oh.
Just because I think that one has a better ending. This one's a little more abrupt. I think the ending, both of these shows, I think the journey to get there, it doesn't match the ending. Whereas I think this one has a decent journey and a decent ending. So I think that adds up to a little more.
I mean, in my opinion, Trigun had more filler, better established characters, and I felt like I had more fun with it, honestly.
And in my opinion, Trigun has the better English dubcast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll grant you that
let's
one.
Let's be honest, the cast in this one, the voice actor in this one, it's fine. I think Melfina and Asuka are kind of dull. I'd say the only one that really stands out is Aisha.
I will say you are making a good case.
Yeah.
I will say you're making a good case on this one. I just think with Trigun, I come back to the fact it was ended abruptly.
Yeah.
It needed that strong ending, and it doesn't quite get it. Like the final fight is amazing, but it doesn't have that. It doesn't quite have that thing. You know what I mean? The oomph of that ending. That means you're never going to forget it.
Yeah. I mean,
the reason no one forgets Trigun is the journey. It's not the destination.
I mean, especially when you compare it to something like Bebop, which had a phenomenal ending.
Yeah, now that ending knocks you out.
I think that's the thing. Is one of the things you mentioned earlier about Trigun is that many people don't realise it takes place in space until like the last bit.
Whereas when they did the reboot, they just said immediately, "Yep, space."
Yeah, it's because I think that's just something that people don't remember. They remember the Western parts, the episodes.
But again, you'd say Bebop is better in that regard because all the episodes are kind of memorable in some fashion.
Yeah.
Even some of the weaker episodes like Boogie Woogie Feng Shui.
Yeah.
How many times can you say that in an episode?
Boogie Woogie Feng Shui. Boogie Woogie Feng Shui.
It's the best time. It's the best time for an episode, even though I hate Feng Shui. So I think we need to call it to our live episode on that one and go to the floor for questions if anyone wants to be stupid enough to ask us questions. Because we have proven we are some of the dullest people on the planet.
Okay.
Have we got a microphone in case? Because otherwise I'm not sure. I don't have to repeat.
I know someone putting his hand up. Do we have a mic anywhere?
It can be about anything you want with us. We are open to anything. Don't do anything with that. Neither you as well.
Notice how he didn't point at me. I have permission.
Yeah. Well, that's just because he expects it from you, Elliot.
Yeah.
So it's just a given.
Also, he annoys me more with his jokes, especially because he does a dumb dance afterwards. Like,
As if you don't.
Okay, we have got a question.
Hey.
First of all, thank you very much, all of you.
We-
Very entertaining seeing it live.
we are
I normally only watch the recordings.
we basically should rename ourselves Strange.com.
I'll be honest, this is kind of something I wanted to do for a couple of years now. Like, do something like this in front of an audience. It's great.
Let's do it.
So, yeah, listen.
What the hell is Vash?
That.
Very good.
For the record, but in case that didn't get picked up, the question was, what the hell is Vash? So there's a play on that one.
Bravo.
Well, there is a cream for it, I think.
Oh, God, you know someone's going to find one of those.
He's the protagonist of Trigun. I know you're asking probably sarcastically, but there you go.
No, I really want to know, of all the speeches we've heard today, and we've heard from Lender and Luke, and
Yes, that's the thing you're gonna.
that's what baffled me the most.
That's the thing you're gonna be thinking on the way home after all these talks of autism and diagnosis. You're gonna be thinking, what is?
I would say recommend watch Trigun and you'll get your answer. What streaming services is it on now? Because
I don't think it's on any.
No, it used to be on Netflix and got taken off.
it got taken off. Bebop is on Netflix.
Yep.
Outlaw Star, I think it's on Crunchyroll.
Yep.
Lane is on nothing. No one gives a shit about this.
Surprisingly, it is on Funimation, but you can't watch it.
What?
No idea, but every time I click onto it, it says error.
It's a
But
lot.
it's there.
I'm gonna guess it's like region locked. It's the same. It's the same case with One Piece.
But which means they might transfer to Crunchyroll because Sony has purchased Crunchyroll. That means they partner with Funimation and they're going to dissolve Funimation and make it entirely Crunchyroll as time goes on. I don't think Outlaw Star's on. No, Outlaw Star's on Crunchyroll. I'm
Yeah.
fairly convinced. I'll double check that.
Yeah,
but-
it's on control, that's why I watched it.
Oh, thank you.
So I think you're going to get the answer privately over the phone.
Do we have any more questions, or shall we get off?
Oh, we got
Oh,
one.
we have one back there.
Someone doesn't want us to get off.
Yay!
Oh dear, Cal.
Oh no, you didn't loot it, did you?
You said it.
You did it yourself.
You said it.
You did it.
I'll be listening to you for this. How long it was. Which one of you is identifying as Jeremy Clarkson? Which one is James Blake? Which one is Richard Allen? And which one's the stick?
Okay,
Will Clarkson.
Hang on. For the record, in case I
the
didn't.
other
For
one's
the record, on terms of if that didn't get picked up, Mike, the ask question was which one of the Top Gear team are we? So I'll go with Clarkson.
I'm gonna go with Hammond because I'm
I
smallest.
think I'm James.
Yeah, that was me to stick them.
Your strong science.
Reese is
That was
Stick.
that was easy.
Some say he has more Gunpla than anyone in Britain.
Another say he's flat broke because of it.
In other words, I'm the hamster. He's the one the most small. He's the one who's the most interesting. He's the one who does the cheese meme. He's the one who people hate the most.
And he's the one who's going to write a book that dobs us in it.
Of course.
We got one over there.
Yep.
Doctor. Paying attention, why don't you?
Doctor, I feel like curtains.
Pull yourself together.
Hang on.
Sorry?
If we compare Axia to an anime, which one would it be?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Well, which anime does all the cast hate each other in?
I mean,
Outlaw Star?
if there's the four of us, I'd say. Oh God.
Higurashi.
Bocce the Rock.
No, I'd say Bocce the Rock is actually a good one compared to, because we have a quite similar dynamic to that group. Also, Elliot's definitely the lead guitarist.
Yeah, I'm Bocce. Because I have the most anxiety. Woo!
Maybe we should explain what bocce is.
Well, basically,
Bocce the Rock is basically about a girl with major anxiety issues who wants to become a rock star. She eventually by coincidence ends up joining up with a band. She starts getting a lot more confidence. Not quite there yet at the end of the anime. I really recommend it actually. It's really good.
if I was to do Axia as a whole, right? Let's say we took the whole organisation to the mix. So you want it's madcap, but it somehow works. That's a description of Axia, I would say. What anime does that apply to?
The whole of Team Rocket. From Pokemon.
Prepare for trouble.
Finally, an anime reference people will get.
Yeah. Because let's face it, more people are going to know Pokemon than these four.
In which case, who would we be in Team Rocket? I would be Meowth.
Dibs, James.
Hey, I'll say Jesse. I don't care.
So you're
I'm
the
Boba Fett
balloon.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're so Boba Fett.
Oh, so true.
Turn off the cameras. I'm going to put him in a headlock.
You do it on camera.
Are there any more questions?
One that
Well, we'll go instead. I'll put him in a headlock.
Please, I beg.
In a headlock. Get in a headlock.
I'm share cam.
Oh, I'm afraid.
First I was
It's my
afraid.
brother. Everyone, say hi.
Where's his hair?
Somebody that's not very familiar with anime,
Yeah.
which one would you all recommend being like a good first one?
So, what's a good first anime for people not? Because we're not going to recommend our favourite anime. Because
Yeah,
my
there's-
favourite one is definitely not a good introduction anime.
Well, for ones we talked about, definitely Cowboy Bebop. But if we're talking a personal experience, first one I have two. First one is Death Note, because that's the one that a lot of people who really like a lot of people who don't like anime actually admit they like that one.
Oh, that's another one. Do not watch the Netflix live action version.
Yeah,
That
really
is
don't.
so bad.
And it's biased because it's my first anime. The other one I say Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah.
That's a very good one.
Because
It's going to be my one.
It's one because you get a lot of the anime tropes in there. It's very action based, a lot of comedy, a lot of tragedy. It's genuinely one of a lot of people's favorite for a reason.
I'd throw in a wild card. I'd say March comes in like a lion. Like it's a heavy show, but it's a combination of very good drama and very good tropes.
But I think for the newcomer, that may be a bit too slow paced.
Oh right, yeah, I see.
Especially
your point.
because it's based on shogi, which is Japanese version of
Oh,
chess.
it's incredibly Japanese,
Yeah.
unbelievably. Ren, before I think of another better one, you come up with
I'd
something.
probably say One Punch Man. It's a critique on superhero, like kind of comics. and
Oh,
film.
actually,
My Hero Academia in that case then.
yeah, I say My Hero Academia in
By
that case because My Hero Academia it does what a lot of recent superhero shows do of the deconstruction part, but then sort of reconstructs it. So it says, yeah, a society based on superheroes is kind of messed up.
Basically,
but
basically
we
it's-
do need a Superman.
Basically, it's based in a world where superhero powers are the norm. Like 8% of the people in that world have some kind of power.
Can we agree it's definitely not even, despite how amazing they are, it's not JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or Gurren Lagann.
Yeah.
No, that's ways off the wall.
Dream's got
I would say Seraph at the End is a good one, though.
Seraph at the End is a decent one.
That's
yeah.
my favourite. Hi, Dream.
Hi there. I
Hello.
was just going to ask. I was actually introduced to anime, as Calvin knows, through Steins Gate.
That's a great one.
Which, like to me, blew my mind because the complexity and depth was
Yeah.
so profound for
Yeah.
a cartoon. So, is that something that you think would be a good introduction?
No, I don't think it is.
I'd say it kind of depends on the person.
Yeah.
If someone likes those kind of complex sci-fi kind of things, then yeah, I would say Steins Gate would be a very good
I'd
one
say
for
in
them.
terms of like a thing that most people have seen, the biggest thing to compare Steins Gate to is Inception. Would you say? Inception kind of does that similar thing of bending reality.
Basically, the idea of it is a guy creates a time machine from a microwave. It sounds stupid, but believe me, it's generally one of the best things I've ever seen.
Probably one of the. Would you say how do you think the transgender themes have aged now?
Not great.
Not great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I was about to say it's like this was progressive at the time. It's not so progressive now.
Yeah.
But that's like that's.
But these things are,
The
like
show as a whole.
media is the best way to say it. People say it's just about comedy, but I think it's media in general always is the first thing to age like milk.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
How we doing for time? 3 minutes.
Okay, do you have any last-minute questions?
Dream, I would actually recommend Serial Experiments Lain to you. I think you'd quite enjoy
Okay.
it. I think you'd quite enjoy it.
Alright, I guess that's everything.
Just to say that the book's on the back, so Calvin.
Oh yeah, I wrote the book, The Nerd Console's Guide to Anime, so that book's at the back if you want to borrow it.
I do apologize if it's too heavy. You can bludgeon someone to death with it.
Yep.
You've tried
Legally,
to.
I guess legally I should say you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But
But you could.
It is possible. Don't stack it high on the shelf.
Oh god, this PDSG the other week all over again.
And we've got a copy of Dream's book as well on the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So shall we